Howdy, howdy, y'all. It's another Maharaj uh, chapter. Chapter 34. Mind is restlessness itself. Mind is restlessness itself. Um, obviously, if you haven't been following along if you're not familiar with Maharaj and the sort of understanding of reality and the world and self, or just probably of Hindu, or just this sort of perspective in general. It might seem kind of odd to say this, but honestly, and I would have, because yeah, probably before all this, I definitely would be like, what are you talking about? Um, it's just that's just like a state of mind. But I think what he means by this, I think that like this name of the chapter, it's this idea that the mind itself is like not just a source of it. It's not just a state of mind. It's that the mind itself is of restlessness. The mind is constantly going back and trying to go back and forth between pain and pleasure and all these different like states of minds, and like the whole thing is in a sense chaos. Which, and when you think about it on that level, it makes sense. Yeah, like that we are like that the seeking of pleasure is what produces pain in the first place. I mean, this is so I think that's kind of the sort of understanding with that sort of name of this chapter and that with that concept. Um, it is very interesting because at the beginning of this conversation, um, he Maharaj goes is using pretty much what I would describe as like really like the Socratic method, and he's really asking these questions. If and he's like pretty much the questioner, really. Maharaj is, yeah. He's just trying to understand, and you definitely see that he's trying to get understanding of where this guy is at. And he explains that that he's a Swede, but he teaches hatha yoga in Mexico and the United States. He learned from an Indian Swami. Um, and the benefits he seemed to have gotten is like good health, the means of livelihood. Um, to be honest, I feel like from this conversation, he probably got some decent stuff from it. I don't want to say that, but it's interesting how Maharaj is able to access this deeper level of understanding the mind and in the self, and have that really even mess with this guy who's like I said, teaching yoga. We don't know how long he is or what his, I guess, quote unquote level of it understanding is, but it's interesting because Maharaj really what he does, especially in this like later part of the conversation, especially that I found interesting, is how he talks about, oh, of course, airplane. How he talks about how how like just the pursuit of this of peace and all this is in itself a sort of contradiction, and it's really more of a matter of being. I remember at one point, it's very interesting part quote where he talks about how like even the essentially how like the books and like yoga and all this is like it's a good start. It's like a good beginning, but then you ultimately have to go for like to experience it itself. The experience is this what he is talking about. Like to experience the source, the true self. Um, it's beyond words, and you just have to experience it ultimately. There's this sort of ultimate, like you just kind of, it's about the experience. Which I mean, that's a level I respect and agree with, especially even as someone who, for my personal history, I've been in the existential sort of thought and ways of thinking about the interpreting the world for a while. So that makes sense to me for sure. Um, it is funny because like the questioner keeps arguing, like, well, no, I found some peace, but not all of it. And so he keeps saying this over and over, which because I'm very sympathetic to that. I gotta probably pause my phone, or not silence my phone here, but I'm very sympathetic to that viewpoint. That you can find some peace, but not, I understand that. But I understand what Maharaj is trying to do too. He's trying to get him to understand, like, no, no, no. You see, this is just you're kind of just deluding yourself here. You're trying to, you're kind of missing the whole point. Um, Because, for example, I like how he says it at one point. The questioner is, "I did attain a degree of inner peace. Am I to destroy it?" Mind you, like at this point, it's been kind of they've been kind of going around in circles about this concept of that obtained some peace. Maharaj, what has been attained may be lost again. Only when you realize the true peace, the peace you have never lost, that peace will remain with you, for it was never away. Instead of searching for what you do not have, find what is that you have never lost. That which is there before the beginning and after the end of everything. That to which there is no birth nor death. That immovable state, which is not affected by the birth and death of a body or a mind. That state you must perceive. And then the questioner, what are the means to such perception? Maharaj, in life nothing can be had without overcoming obstacles. The obstacles to the clear perception of one's true being are desire for pleasure and fear of pain. It is the pleasure-pain motivation that stands in the way. The very freedom from all motivation, the state in which no desire arises, is the natural state. So, and then you kind of talk further about it, this desire, like, and it's funny. Actually, at one point, there's like they do have a bit more back and forth. And at one point, the questioner just says, "Well, pleasure may be imaginary, but pain is real." And the way Maharaj responds to this is funny. Pain and pleasure go always together. Freedom from one means freedom from both. If you do not care for pleasure, you will not be afraid of pain. But there is happiness which is neither, which is completely beyond. The happiness you know is describable and measurable. It is objective, so to say. But the objective cannot be your own. It would be a grievous mistake to identify yourself with something external. Thus, churning up of levels leads nowhere. Reality is beyond the subjective and objective, beyond all levels, beyond every distinction. Most definitely it is not their origin, source, or root. These come from ignorance of reality, not from reality itself, which is indescribable beyond being and non-being. So, I love what I like about it, what I found funny. It's not the actual content of it. Like, that's just very wise and true. But what I find funny is that he just says this very, I would say, kind of, like, you're kind of missing the point if you're saying, like, what, like, pleasure is imaginary but pain is real. Like, you're kind of missing the point. And it's just funny that what I find funny about it is how he throws this, like, big, just, like, no, like, it's, like, this just deep existential sort of, like, maybe existential is not maybe the right word, but just this deep point, that all of this stuff is just beyond these words, beyond these concepts, beyond anything you can perceive, think, conceptualize. Well, guess what? Beyond that. That's what I think that's what it seems to be he's constantly arguing. Anytime you can perceive or think or conceptualize something, you are by You just virtue, just beyond that. You are always beyond that. Um, and so, and which is, by the way, how you obtain true freedom. And I agree, and I certainly, that's what I've been trying to practice my own personal life too a lot lately. Is trying to free myself from that whole pain, pleasure, just um, trap. So a lot of traps like that. The life death cycle, the pain pleasure trap. A lot of traps. But it's a ride along the way, and I mean, what do you do? I'm trying to see. I want to end on this. So towards the end of the conversation, the questioner asks this: in the ultimate state, there can be no happiness? Maharaj, nor sorrow, only freedom. Happiness depends on something or other and can be lost. Freedom from everything depends on nothing. It cannot be lost. Freedom from sorrow has no cause and therefore cannot be destroyed. Realize that freedom. Um, yeah, and I think that's what I'm going to end it on. Even though that's not like the last part. I mean, it's towards the end. But I liked that. Because I think that's a very just simple, sort of, a simple way of trying to understand what this ultimate state is about. And actually, and probably why one might want to pursue it. It's, you know, it's to try to strive for a sense of true freedom. And who doesn't love freedom, right? It's the most pure and truest of the freedoms. And, I think Anando, I'm going to call it good. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And I'll see y'all next time. Please like, share the video, and all that jazz. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Peace.